Hello, career thought leaders. It is good to see you. We are here at our regular time and here for our Trend Tuesday Live. So, we are going to be talking about what a hiring manager thinks when they see an AI generated resume, some of the things that tip them off to that it's an AI generated resume. Now, I'll just say that I love that job seekers are using AI in the job search process. I find that it's super helpful. It is insightful. It can be great for research. It can help you pull out the right information. So, this is not an attack on candidates using AI. In fact, AI isn't really even the problem because we know as resume writers or hiring managers that these problems existed before AI, where people were copying phrases from job descriptions or they were copying phrases off of Onet or out of a book. Whatever they were doing before AI was the same problem. It just wasn't as widespread. And it usually wasn't as obvious because when you were rewriting a statement off of one of those other platforms, you thought about it more. So there's research now saying that when AI writes for us, we tend to not think very much, and that becomes the problem. Whereas when you were writing something from a job description or copying something off of an online resume, you were just more likely to think about it as you were rewriting, etc. So it's not the tool that's the problem, it's somewhat the speed. And it's also the fact that what AI writes sounds good. It sounds like wow, but it typically has a weirdness to it. And it also isn't yours. You didn't do that thing. And you've got to be careful with that. So I was playing around with one of the job search tools that does a resume for you. We were playing around with it during Tech Jam. And one of the things we saw is that you could press a button and it says, what's the right word? That it will quantify this result. And it makes up a number. That is not okay. You are going to have to back that number up. And what I've seen in some resumes is that people are asking ChatGPT to quantify this, and they're getting numbers that don't make sense. So I have a learning and development resume where someone's trying to transition from federal to non-federal, right? Get into an industry. And the resume says these numbers that just don't make any sense. So achieved an 80% pass rate. Is that good? Is that bad? Like, what is the industry standard there? And so when we dug deeper into that resume, just patterns and some of the things that came up made me feel like that probably wasn't real. And again, the person asked AI to help translate from federal to industry, and it made things up because it knows we want to quantify, and we don't want to do that. So you can ask AI to, point out places where I can quantify. What questions should I ask myself? What data can I dig for? But you do not want it to quantify this accomplishment for me. It is going to make things up, and it's most of the time not even going to be just made up. It's going to sound weird. So that's the reason that reviewers like me who are hiring people are suspicious, not because you used AI like as a blanket, but because now I don't know if this stuff is real. Did you really do these things? And again, if I could tell you'd copied it from a book or from Onet, I would still have the same question. So it's not the tool, it's the content, but now more people are doing it. It's faster and it sounds sneakily better, even though it's really not. Those are the problems. So what do we do when we've got someone sitting in front of us and they've got a resume that has these points on there? I don't think you need to say anything. It's all about asking questions. Tell me more about this. Tell me more about that. What happened here? And one, they'll either stumble, or two, maybe it's great and it just sounds funny and we just need some rewording, but it actually is good content and we can just help them reword it. One of the things that AI does over and over and over again is it says, did this resulting in this, did this ensuring that. We had a student turn in one of their ACRW assignments, and I always tell people, we teach ACRWs, Academy Certified Resume Writers, how to use AI. So I'm not going to get mad at them for using AI in their assignments. However, almost every bullet was da 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 da, ensuring da 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 da, ensuring da da da. No, we can't have that. One, it tips off the AI. Two, it makes it kind of lilting and boring. It's kind of like a poem, right? We don't want that in a resume. And a lot of times the phrase after ensuring is actually the win, the result, the sizzle that we want at the front. So not only is AI creating this repetitive pattern that's noticeable and boring and feels a little weird, it also is hiding the result at the end of the statement. And so we can edit and flip that. The other challenge that a lot of times people have when they're using these systems for our assignments is that it doesn't include some of the detail that is important in the job, or it includes details that aren't really important in the job. Now, if we go through a more robust prompting process, AI can actually get better at that and it can do a better match. But if we're just saying, here's my story, write it into a bullet, it's not going to know what's important, what's not. If somebody's transitioning industries and we don't want the industry language, it doesn't know that, so it includes it. So yes, we can use AI, we can use it to do the research, to position our client, to get ideas on where we could quantify, get some examples, but the challenges come when that repetitiveness happens. So let's look at what some recruiters are saying, because that was the question one of our folks had asked in our group was, what are recruiters saying? So this one is from a HR director article, May 23, 2025, so very recent. And this one is out of the UK. And so we just see that UK employees consider themselves knowledgeable, but they're seeing these resumes as AI generated. So that we know recruiters are using AI to help process your resume. And yes, again, they aren't necessarily caring that you use AI. They just care when they can tell and it sounds fake. And so that's the rub. I know hear a lot of job seekers saying, if they're using it, why can't I? By all means, use it. Just don't send in fiction on your resume. And that is what you're doing when you're letting AI write the resume for you, is it's fiction. It's not really things that you've done. If it is things that you've done, make sure it's including those specifics so that it sounds specific, and be careful of those kind of lilting reading patterns that make it sound overly formal, hard to follow, bury the results, and yes, sound AI generated. So those are the things that folks are not liking in these types of environments of hiring. So let me see if I can drop this in the chat for you. Yeah, I'll have to go back in LinkedIn because it doesn't go over to LinkedIn, but I did put that in the chat in YouTube, and I'll go back and put it in LinkedIn here in a little bit. So that's what they're seeing when they see the resume, right? They can tell that it's generated in AI. And again, it just creates that somewhat lack of distrust. Is this real? Is it not real? That existed before AI. And so, HR people are starting to do things. They're starting to see, are there different areas that we need to do testing or assessments and those types of areas to get your real skills. But when I look at a resume, I'm always looking at, are these the things they really did? Can I see the specifics of what they really did? And it really doesn't matter where the other information came from if it's not AI generated. If it's just copy from a job description, I'm still wondering what's really going on. So I went digging a little bit on Reddit just to see, like, what are recruiters saying on Reddit. They're answering people who are asking this question, what's wrong with an AI generated resume? So Reddit can sometimes be a little bit of a spiral. But I just wanted to see what we could find there that would show us what was going on. So let me see if I can share these screenshots with you without without having trouble. Maybe not. I'm going to have to share the PowerPoint that I dumped them into instead of the actual images, but we will overcome. We will figure it out. Okay, so is this it? No. All right. Anyways, so you are going to see these things that I pulled from Reddit. Maybe at some point, we will figure it out. Okay. Sorry for the messiness here. But so this person had responded saying that recruiters didn't like to see the AI generated resumes, and the candidate quacked back at them saying, you're using AI. And I thought this was a good response from the recruiter. A recruiter is not garbage for wanting to give priority to candidates that really care for the position. A little bit of a thing there, but they're looking for that real information. And they're seeing thousands of resumes, right? So it's really obvious to them when you've used AI. And so if everybody's looked the same, and you can tell that this was a UK or a European, because they're talking about CV. So the human recruiter is looking for the human in the resume, and that's what we want to help candidates do. This was another one, and there's articles. I'll share some articles that talk about specific words. I think we want to be careful with that. Here they're talking about therefore, and this person is saying, well, I use therefore. It's like, well, but you probably don't really use it in a resume. So it's those patterns that they see over and over again. In cover letters, there's enthusiasm and enthusiastic, and you can just see it when you read a cover letter written by AI. They all say the same thing, especially in the intro and closing paragraphs. They're just writing the same thing over and over again. So if I'm in HR and I'm reading, if I'm reading things, I can just see a pattern that I've never seen before. And that's where I start to go, I wonder if this is real. Now, again, we're not trying to knock people necessarily for using AI, but we're just wondering, is this the person's real content? And you can tell, even, if they did have AI help them write it, if they've got their real content in there, you can tell. And that's what we want to help people do. So the challenge of our work is helping people figure out, how do you use the tool in a way that adds value instead of a way that causes problems. That's our goal, right? And so here's the process. And we've gone through this a bit, but we'll just go through it real quickly here. First, research. What is the employer looking for? What are the keywords they're looking for? We've done some great work during the Friday sessions on getting that hiring manager persona. Those are all excellent ways to use AI to really dig in and understand the audience. What are they looking for? What are their pain points? What's going on in the industry right now? And that can really help the client get the framework. Then they have to come up with their own stories. This is the part that people want to shortcut with AI that you just can't. If you don't have good stories on your resume right now, you can't put your old resume in and say, oh, magic presto, write me a good resume from this junk that I have. It doesn't work that way. So now you've got, this is what the hiring managers are looking for. These are the pain points. You can have AI help you come up with some sample bullets, or what questions should I ask myself, those types of things. But you cannot have it write the bullet points if you don't have stories, content, ideas that you're putting in from your actual background. That's what we want to help clients do. So you've got, these are the stories that matter. This is what the hiring manager is looking for. What are your stories that align, that show you've done that kind of work? It makes it easier to get the stories when you have, I call it the goalposts. You have, right, this is what we're aiming for. And then you can get that content out of the human. They have to tell that story. Now, they could tell it to AI. They could have AI transcribe it. Well, Zoom or whatever, transcribe it, and then have AI help them connect the dots. But this, again, is where you want to be careful, because even if it is your stuff, when AI helps you write it, it will, one, sometimes mess with your stuff and not really say it correctly. So watch out for that. And two, it will put in some of those writing patterns. So you want to go back through. You can prompt it to start with the result and do some of those things, and it will do that better. It's always, because it's built on a billion data points and it's got its own language model, you always are going to have some of those problems you want to watch for when you're editing. If you find that you have trouble slowing down and actually editing, consider rewriting instead of editing. So if you find that you're just going through and going, right? Slow down and challenge yourself. Like, I'm going to rewrite some of these bullets personally, deep edit, and then go back and see how many of those am I doing? How much changes am I really making? Do I need to dig deeper into all of the stuff that it's written? So it can help you take your stories and make them in resume format. We've got some kind of overview, and then you've got your bullets of accomplishments. We've got resume writers, professional resume writers, who are having it help with that piece. You have to be careful, working on your prompts and your editing. But I love the piece that it can help you connect the dots. So here's the pain points. Here's my stories. Which stories matter the most? What should I pull out of these stories? You can ask it all of those questions and then work on your bullets with it or by yourself. Then you can also do the afterwards comparison. Here's the job description. Here's my resume. Are there any gaps? What should I fill? What questions should I ask myself to fill these gaps? And it can do that for you. So those are the ways that we can use it. The big warning sign is don't use it to write content if you're not giving it your stories first, which very few people, if you're out there working on your own resume, very few people have good stories on their resume. That's most of the work that a resume writer does, is pulling those stories out in an interview and then writing them down. So those are the parts that you want to get help with. So we've got two things coming up here that I'd love to share with you. One is starting on July 16th. We've got our AI use in resume and profile creation micro-credential. So this is an opportunity to join us, learn the workflows, get prompts to help you with the workflows, and then share that you have a micro-credential in AI use in resume and profile creation. I said creation specifically because, again, we're not just talking about using it to write. We're talking about using it to write, to edit, to analyze, all the way around, right? So that's a little bit broader, and it's something that we can help clients do and understand how to use the tool in a way that is actually helpful. So that's one thing that we have coming up. If you have interest in that, let me know. Happy to get you our little discount code. Happy to get you a little discount code. If you're part of the AI Sandbox already, you get a discount code because a Sandbox is included. So if you have been in the Sandbox but you haven't taken advantage of the micro-credentials, let us know and we'll make sure you've got that discount code. The other thing that I will share with you as we've got coming up here is our Academy Certified Resume Writer program. Starts on July 8th. So if you are interested in really understanding how to write, how to get that best information out, how to formulate the resume, design the resume in a way that is appealing to the human, and yes, will beat the bot, so that's really not a thing, right? We know that ATS is not kicking people out for formatting reasons, really most of the time. So getting this information to write with strategy from the bottom up so that not only are clients a match in the system, but they are a match to the human that's reading it. So those are the two things we have coming up. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you're helping clients use AI resumes, or I know a few of you recruiters were watching today, and we'd always love to hear from you in terms of what you're seeing with the AI generated resumes. I know as a hiring manager myself, especially small business, where I don't have tons of money to throw around, if I can't tell that someone knows their stuff, I'm going to have a hard time moving them forward to the next piece of the process. Is the resume the only thing we use? No, we use a questionnaire, we use some of those things, but I'm even seeing some AI generated responses on those. And that just makes it hard to assess, does the person really know the job? I can see they know how to use AI, which is a plus in a small business that uses AI, but do they actually know how to do the other parts of the job? I need to be able to see that, and the AI generated answers can get in the way of telling me that you do know this, that you have done it. So that's the thing you want to be careful if you're out there doing your own resume. Use the tool, but at the end of the day, read that statement and understand as the hiring manager, I'm looking at, does this sound credible? Is it specific? Does it sound like something a human would say? And that's the piece of it that we want to help you do. Edit, edit, edit to make sure that it sounds like you and that it's got those specifics in it of what you actually did. Because that's how I'm judging the skills is, are you demonstrating that you've used the skills to achieve a result that is relevant to my business, to my job? And if we can help clients do that, they will rise to the top, even among all of the AI generated content that is out there. So we will see you next week. So we aren't having Friday in career services this Friday because here in the US it's a holiday and I won't be in my usual spot. And so I will not see you next week either because I won't be in my usual spot. So we'll be back on the 15th with our Trend Tuesday Live. And I'd love to hear what topics you want to talk about or how we can support you. So Friday in career services on July 11th. And then we'll be back here for Trend Tuesday Live on July 15th. Thanks, everyone. And if you're in the US, have a safe holiday weekend.